What's up guys, your boy Recon. Today I'm going to be showing you my Vanguard build. It is pretty overpowered and I hope that you guys enjoy it. Now first thing I'm going to show you guys here is that I actually haven't reached Vanguard rank 6 yet. I just do not have the skill points for it. So important that you note that if you guys have the skill points, you are going to be able to actually get a better build that I'm about to show you, just because of the rank 5 bonus or 6 bonus that you'll be able to get out of Vanguard. So moving on, I will take you over to the biotic screen here. First thing I'm going to show you is Backlash. Now this is the first part of the build that you're going to want to take into note, that you're going to automatically take the first 3. Now I take the health over the recharge speed. I take the health over the projectile damage. Now this one is kind of up to you. Now not everything I do in this build you have to do exactly. There is some room for you guys to make your own choices here. This is one of them. But personally, the return damage, it's not really a big deal to me, because I'm going to be doing so much damage with my charge and Nova attack that this just, to me, it made more sense for me to take the health. Now moving on to the last one, this is the one where there's just really the shield resurgence just isn't as important as the gun damage bonus, power damage bonus, and the melee damage bonus here, because between the two, the damage aftermath is just a better choice, because it's where we're going to find our melee damage and our gun damage bonus for our shotgun and our sword, or whatever melee weapon you happen to be using for this build. We're not going to really be able to find it anywhere else, because everywhere else it's always the opposite choice that is the better pick. So here, this is where you're going to try and grab it quick, is the melee damage and the gun damage here. So make sure you pick that. Moving on to which one we can show. I want to show you Nova first. You're going to take the first 3 in Nova, and then here you're going to want to take the damage radius over the force. I mean, once again, it's up to you which one you want to pick. I just prefer the radius more so than the damage and the force, because we've already got enough usually to take them down, and usually I'm jumping into where a bunch of people are. There's a lot of times where I'm just diving right in, so I prefer to have the radius over the damage, but perhaps you would rather have the damage and the force. Really, that's kind of up to you which way you want to go there. Now here, once again, it's up to you. I prefer trying to dig into the armor more so than the shield, because the shield usually comes down pretty easy, especially when you have 2 teammates with you helping you out there. Usually they're taking the shields down. And there's just other ways to take the shields down, like with your guns or whatever, from afar. It's the armor that usually takes some melting. So I chose the armor. You can choose whichever one you want. This is the one that you have to make sure you choose with me. The shield cost of 100% is not going to be a big deal. So what this is going to do is make it so that Nova doesn't have any recharge speed, and we can just constantly keep using it over and over again. Yes, it costs 100% of your shield, but don't worry, we are going to make that back up in other places. We'll probably only end up using around like 50 or 60% of our shield cost, and then we're going to be able to recoup it anyways. And speaking of that, I'll show you right here in charge. Automatically in charge, the very first one that you pick shows you that a passive of charge is that it restores some shield strength at charge's end. So right there, we're already getting some of our shields back. Moving down the line here, you're going to take the first 3. I chose to take damage and force over the radius. I just found that this is where I'm doing most of my damage, so it makes sense to add to that aspect of the build. Here it's up to you once again which one you want to take, but personally I took the power damage bonus and the power force bonus over the gun and melee damage, because like I said before, we've already pulled in some gun and melee damage. We don't really need much more, because we're not going to be using them as much as we are hopefully our abilities, because the recharge speed of our abilities is going to be so quick. We're just going to keep charging Nova, shield, whatever, so you're barely ever going to be using your guns. The last one is the one that you definitely want to make sure you pick, is the 75% recharge speed. It's just a no-brainer. You're not going to be taking this one down here. You want to get that recharge speed as fast as you can, because you want to keep bringing back your shields as much as possible, and because we're just going to be jumping around from one guy to the next while we're on the battlefield. So important that you make sure that you take that. Now moving down here to, which one do I want to show you first? I'll show you barrier. You're just going to take the first 3. So you can see that your shield strength is going to scale with each skill point invested in the biotic skill group, so that's important to you. So you're going to take all 3. A lot to do with the shields here. That's what I chose. I went with max shields. you know, over the other one there, over the recuperative barrier. I took, this is where I took some of the weapon stuff because the max shields with active biotic effect, 40%, you know, it just made more sense to me to grab the weapon weight and the biotic power shield cost reduction. That's probably the most important one here. And then of course you get some movement speed with that as well while your shield is active, and hopefully our shields are always active because we'll constantly be using charge to make sure that we have some. So, and then here you're going to want to take your shield restored on biotic kill of 10%. Like I said, we're going to be regaining that usage of our shield by using Nova. We got to recoup it somewhere else. So this is where we're going to recoup some of it as well, another 10% right there. So very important to make sure you take that one. The offensive biotics, you're going to take the first 3, and then down here you're going to take the recharge speed over the biotic power damage. I mean, this is up to you, but like I said, the recharge speed is really important. You want to make sure that you are getting your abilities back as fast as possible so that you can regain your shields as fast as possible while you're jumping around the battlefield. Here I took the biotic detonator damage and all the combo radiuses over the debuff of the biotic effects. Here I took the 30% biotic damage bonus, so this is where I'm actually getting some of my biotic damage because we haven't pulled a lot of that in yet. So important that you pick that one over the weapon and melee damage, because like I said before, we've already got like 30 or 40% melee and weapon damage. We don't need to be grabbing 15% on a tier 6. You know, it's more important to grab the 40% biotic damage because we are just going to be, or 30%, sorry, biotic damage, because we are going to be jumping around using our skills more often than we are going to be using our weapons. So that's a no-brainer there as well. For containment, you're going to take the first 3, and then you will take the biotic area of effect radius. Now, because of duration, there is no part of our build that requires duration. We're not priming anybody, so once again, make sure that you take this one. That's a no-brainer as well for this build. And then 50% of all combo damage versus shields. You know, I chose again because that just stacks on top of the shield damage that you know, I didn't pick before. Sorry, no, it doesn't stack. It helps the fact that I didn't pick the shield damage before. So now we have some shield damage, you know. So that's good to make sure that we have, because we already have armor damage. So it helps combine those two together so that we have shield and armor damage now. Very important to make sure you pick that one. Here is I chose to go with the 20% biotic area of effect, the radius, and the 40% added to the force over increased duration of biotic power, just because we want to make sure we get some more radius and some more force, because we haven't picked up a lot of that yet, especially for Nova. Important to make sure that you have some of that. So with that said, that is all of the biotic tier during this build that I'm going to be showing you. In combat, you're gonna, like I said, you're gonna be using your shotgun a lot. You're gonna be into the fray. I mean, if you want to use an assault rifle, go ahead. But personally, this build requires a shotgun, a high damage weapon, because you are gonna be nice and close to them. So why wouldn't you take the high damage weapon? So rack your shotgun tier up any way you want. Really, this is all up to you. Personally, I'll show you. I didn't take the reload speed because I don't do a lot of reloading compared to any of my other builds. Usually they're already damaged so much from the charge and Nova that it only takes 1 or 2 shots to take them down. There is an occurrence where sometimes you're going to be fighting a bigger enemy or somebody that still has some shields, but usually, just by upping the clip size, that takes care of the situation anyway. So I up the clip size instead of the reload speed there. Here, I didn't have enough points to actually finish off this build. Like I said before, make sure you spend more points than I did in the combat tier so that you get the extra bonuses from the actual full build in the end. So here I probably would have taken the shotgun damage and the shotgun force, it's probably where I would have gone with that. So that way and then you put things in, like, don't worry about the stuff up here so much. Just worry more about your guns. Maybe go with pistols next or assault rifles, just to try and finish off getting the points spent in the combat tier. So that way you get the Vanguard level 5 or 6 bonuses from it. Moving down to the combat fitness, you're going to take the first 3, and then I took the improved health and shield regeneration rates. And I took the thermal clip size and thermal clip power and cell carrying ability. and I took the low health damage resistance. Now here, this I'll tell you why I did that, because there's no point whatsoever, in my opinion, in taking something where it has to do with cover. We're not going to be in cover. You're doing a Vanguard build here, you're going to be out there in their faces. It's very rare that you're ever going to be taking cover, so it's better for you to just make sure that you have some damage resistance if you're trying to evade them, if anything, you know. So that's why I went with that. But once again, kind of up to you. The heavy lifting is important to me as well. Like I said, the weapon clip size and spare ammo, I mean, it's just it's good for your shotgun, you know, and that's what I did there. So combat tools, you're going to take the first 3, and then I chose to take the hover duration over the damage resistance while you're evading, because I'm just usually not doing a whole lot of running away. Usually I'm just charging right at them and then novaing and then charging to the next guy and then novaing. If anything, makes more sense to once in a while jump up into the air, which I'll show you as part of this build. We do quite a bit, and then just blast them away while you're up there, especially since it gives you a little bit of extra accuracy too. And then obviously, to stack on top of that, we want to have the jump melee damage and the jump melee area of effect radius, because why wouldn't we? If we're going to be adding in the hover duration, might as well add some melee damage to it to help it out. And then I went with the melee bonus per hit. All the melee stuff here, just the martial arts, it's going to help you out, because when you do use your melee, which will happen, you know, either your melee weapon or the shotgun, you're going to do a lot of damage to them when you're up and close and personal, and you know, that's exactly what this build is all about. So I took that over the final hover duration and damage resistance while you're airborne, because whatever. But honestly, this one is up to you. You know, there are some circumstances in some of the fights where maybe having the damage resistance while you're airborne makes sense, because like I said, I jump up into the air and then I'll charge people and they're shooting at me while I'm doing that. So you know, if you'd prefer to take the aerial combat, then go for it, but I prefer to take the martial arts, so that one can be your choice. Okay, so here are my weapons. I'm using the Ket Vakarsh, I don't know, I'm butchering that word, but I'm using the Ket Vakarsh, as far as I'm concerned, it's what it's called, weapon here for melee. Now obviously you want to try and get yours up to the 5, but I find this weapon to actually be pretty awesome. It puts people down pretty quick. I've never had an issue with it. But it's up to you which one you want to use. But personally, I like this because it does not just melee damage, but it also does damage over time as well, because it actually ignites them. So personally, this is my favorite out of them all. Sorry, here it is here. This is my favorite out of them all. And then of course you can see that I've put biotics and weapon and a few other effects on it as well that kind of stack with this build. So up to you what you use. Try and put some effects on it that help you out though. And then here's probably the most important weapon, is the Piranha. Now also up to you which shotgun you want to use. Purely this is preference for me. I just like the way this thing fires off and I enjoy the weapon. So maybe you want to, I know there's other ones out there that have more damage and you can put things on them to create a more powerful weapon, but I just like this gun a lot, and, you know, and with the it doesn't have any augmentations on it. I didn't build this, I just bought it, but with the mods that I put on it, it helps me out as well. So up to you which one you want to do there, but personally that's what I go with. And then the other weapons really are just up to you. The rest is, you know, whatever your preference is. Really, we're only using the shotgun and the melee weapon throughout this build. So let me show you the armor. And then the armor I'm using is just the N7. You know, it gives you biotic, it gives you some biotic power damage and you know, different things like that that have to do with biotics, which are going to help you out obviously throughout this build. So you know, just the recharge speed there and the power damage, and you know, it's going to add to your shields as well. It has a lot of great perks that have to do with this build, so I suggest using the N7 armor, and it looks really cool too. It's probably actually my favorite looking armor, so kind of an extra perk there as well. So with that said, I will leave you guys with some gameplay. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope this build helped you guys out. If it did, make sure you hit that like button for me. Subscribe to my channel for more videos just like this one. For now, I'm your boy Recon, and I'm out. Peace.